Build Battle is one of my favorite Minecraft minigames. You and 15 other players get thrown into a lobby, vote on a theme, and then you have 5 minutes to build whatever was chosen as best as you possibly can. Then everybody votes on each other's, and sometimes the builds aren't very good. Anyway, whoever gets the most points is the winner. That was game 1 of 100. Let's get straight on with game 2. The theme was Racecar. I set the floor to light grey concrete and started building a track down the middle. The Racecar itself was kinda not very good. Hello kind NPC I have just spawned. Please don't crash the car, it's not insured. I added a few particles and some viewing stands, and overall the build was pretty decent. This thing looks straight out of Roblox. That's pretty cool, I like that. That's awesome. Pixel art that's been ripped straight from Google. Yeah, that's not winning. Oh, come on! Although, quick disclaimer, please don't send hate to anyone in this video, it's just unneeded. Next game was Dinosaur, and of course, I was gonna make a T-Rex. I was making good progress and had plenty of time left. I was feeling confident. What a horrible mistake that was. I spent way too long trying to make the head look good, so I ended up having to rush in order to finish, and it definitely showed. Even though it's pixel art, I can appreciate the creativity of the idea here. What is that? As we were judging builds, I noticed there was a master rank player in my lobby. Their name was Puppies, and unsurprisingly, their build was absolutely amazing. I got third though, I'll take it. By the way, if you're wondering why my name's Izom instead of Mozi, it's because I'm using /Nick to change my name. I have YouTube rank, so I didn't want my builds getting unfairly upvoted or downvoted just because of my rank. I voted for Throne, but Wizard was the most popular choice next game. I thought I'd go for something outside the box and build a wizard tower. I had less than a minute to build the fancy pointed roof I'd imagined in my head, and instead had to settle for spamming blocks. I tried as hard as I could, but I didn't finish. No. Puppies made a masterpiece as usual, and I also thought this one was pretty good. Andrea? What exactly were you trying to make here? As expected, Puppies took the win. Well played. You know how earlier I said animals are my weak point? While that is true, the one single exception is the octopus. Okay, well my build says otherwise, but just trust me. Once I got the head done, I could bring out my ultimate strategy. I can build these giant tentacles coming out of the water without having to connect them to the octopus's body. The tentacles aren't even hard to build, just spam blocks and they'll look great. And then for the final killer detail, I grabbed some magenta player heads and used them as suction cups. I knew that this was my chance to not only beat Puppies, but win the game. I actually finished on time for once, and the voting began. Can we have this octopus put down, please? Puppies' build was good, but I definitely had a chance. The build was voted legendary, and I was able to defeat a master rank player. The following game, we had to make sushi, so I made regular looking sushi. Wow. You always want to build something that's going to stand out, and this is just going to look the same as everyone else's. I made a little pot of soy sauce, but my build was basically done and I still had over a minute left. I then completely wasted those crucial 60 seconds and only changed the corners of the pot. Right, well let's see what everyone else has built. I love sushi, said the village. Everyone's sushi looked extremely similar, and this one ended up winning. I came third place though, not bad. Game 7, the theme was weightlifting. As a Minecraft player, I obviously have no idea what that even is. In my opinion, this theme is pretty boring since it's so specific. I built a bench with a guy doing bench press. As usual, I was pretty rushed for time, and consequently, his arms just didn't look quite right. Then I tried to fix them and made them worse. Oh no. The builds ranged from okay to whatever this is. Then I lost to this build, which I don't think is valid at all. This guy doesn't even have shoes on. He's just all red. I made a rule for myself during these 100 games that whenever I saw an animal theme, I would vote for it. This game, I've got to build a rubber duck. I mean, it's not a living, breathing animal, but it's still animal related. Once again though, I had an entire extra minute at the end and did absolutely nothing with it. I could have added some scenery, maybe a few mini rubber ducks, but no, I just twiddled my thumbs and changed a couple blocks. Sir, are you trying to give children nightmares? Oh, they made a bath with a hot and cold tap. That's good. I mean, at least this is still a duck. Pretty ugly one. That's awesome and will probably win. This one looks like he's seen some stuff, this one I have no words for, and this one's decent. How did it win? Game 9, I'm building every kid's most hated vehicle. The school bus. As I said earlier, I'm not very good at building vehicles, so this was going to be difficult. I find it really hard to make them look smooth and not super boxy. To my credit, I did add seats inside, and I also made sure to use all my time instead of wasting it. Also to my credit, at least mine had a roof. This guy built the magic school bus, I think? The comments are probably gonna bully me for not being cultured enough. This school bus ain't going anywhere. It's got 4 flat tires. This guy just put a sign that said school bus on it. Wow. Well, I mean, he tried. The magic school bus won, which makes sense. It stood out for sure. Game 10, the theme was tent. I did a common build battle strat, which is to put your build right on the edge, meaning you don't have to build the back as no one will really see it. I also filled in the back with black concrete because it looks better than just having empty space. I tried to add some tent poles, but they didn't really look right. With just under a minute to go, I was able to make a pretty low budget campfire. While voting on builds, I saw a chest, opened it, and tried to put my legendary vote block inside, which then caused me to vote the build legendary. In build battle, the good vote, which I wanted to give them, is worth 8 points. Legendary is worth 18. They beat me by 9 points. Meaning I would have won if I hadn't accidentally given them legendary. The pain of losing. It burns! The theme was piano, and I was dead set on winning. I was finished after only 3.5 minutes, and previous Mozi, he may have squandered this time. But now I used every second to its fullest potential, adding as much detail as I possibly could. The previous loss may have been frustrating, but this more than made up for it. Robot was picked next game. I made some legs with robot joints for the knees, and then built a massive box for the body. Even though it was big, I was able to get away without detailing it by just filling it with sea lanterns to represent a screen. Then for the head, I added red and blue buttons for a much needed pop of color. Everything was looking good and nicely filled in, until I realized I'd forgotten the arms, which I hastily added. I was super happy with this. I thought this BB-8 might win, or this very detailed robot, but in the end, my mechanical marvel magnificently won. Now we're making some breakfast in game 13. I built a plate with several layers, which was a horrible mistake since I had to fit the breakfast into it. My food also did not look very nice. That's supposed to be bacon. I added a red toaster in the corner with some freshly made toast, which actually brought the build up a lot. A cup of water with lily pads in. What a delicious breakfast. All the breakfasts looked similar, apart from this one with the eggs being fried, which should have won, but it didn't. Last game I built bacon, now I'm building a flying pig. I thought a flying piggy bank might set me apart from everyone else. This shaping was pretty good. I gave him a little snout, a curly tail, and some magic wings made from wool and glass. Although I had to reshape the right wing since it wasn't quite right. This pig has tiny legs, this pig looks incredibly sunburnt, this pig looks like my sleep paralysis demon, and this pig is actually flying with a hot air balloon. It won the game, but I'm happy with second. Following on from animals, this game it was camel. I thought back to how puppies had built their dinosaur curved and up against the wall, which made it look huge. I did my best to replicate their technique, and it actually started to take shape. I added an orange Minecraft saddle and connected up the reins. I used the last few seconds I had left to add some shading, and while the build wasn't perfect, I was happy with the final result. A few people made orange camels for some reason. Does this remind anyone of Simba, or is that just me? A Cyclops camel. Interesting choice. As it turned out, learning from a master builder paid off. Another animal theme. Turtle this time. I gave the shell the most attention since it was the most important part of the build. All in all, I really liked how this turned out. No one else did. Game 17 was sword. I wasn't really sure what to make, but ended up going with the master sword from Zelda. It was only 1 block thick though, and also didn't quite fit in the building area. Wait, have I just created pixel art? No, this can't be happening, no! Existential crisis aside, the other swords were a pretty mixed bag. Some good ones, some weird ones, some amazing ones, and some that had no chance of winning. Wait, what? I have to warn you that the build I'm about to make is the worst thing I have ever created. I genuinely considered deleting this footage and pretending I just forgot to record game 18. The theme was moon. so I thought I'd build Vector from Despicable Me holding the moon in triumph. Things got off to a rocky start, and as the time ticked down, I got more and more doubtful. Building on a diagonal is easily one of, if not the hardest building technique to pull off, especially when it comes to building humans. With 40 seconds to go, I took a long, hard look at my build and left the game. An absolutely monumental L. I couldn't just give up though, so after contemplating my life for a bit, I returned to the grind. If you give me an hour, I can design a pretty good looking windmill. If you give me 5 minutes, the best I can do is a windmill that looks like it was bought from Wish. My 3-bladed windmill did not impress the voters, and I received 9th place. Got some dental hygiene going on in game 20 as the theme was toothpaste. I wanted to build a tube with toothpaste exploding out of the top. Kinda like that one scene from Amazing Spider-Man where he first gets his powers and accidentally squeezes the toothpaste tube way too hard. Unfortunately, the build was brought down by the fact that both the bottle and the toothpaste were white. Not enough of a contrast between the two. There were some good builds in the running that deserved to win. Sometimes this game confuses me. Game 21, the theme was backpack, so I thought I'd build a preschooler with a backpack. I spent far too much time detailing things that no one but me cared about. The theme's backpack. Why am I so focused on getting his hands right? I was left with exactly 48 seconds to build a backpack, which as you can imagine, was pretty challenging. By some divine miracle, I managed to get it done, but it lacked a lot of detail. A few other people had the idea to build a person wearing a backpack. Mum be like, go and play with the neighbor's kid. The neighbor's kid. This cross-eyed backpack won. I can't say I'm a huge fan. It's been a while since I've gotten a win. Let's get serious. I had to build a comet and I made sure to use plenty of different blocks. I then added streaks of blue and layered over them with blue and light blue stained glass. I put some orange and red glass on the front as well as some fire to make it look like it was burning up. As a final touch, I threw in some sea lanterns and switched the time to night. My competitors mainly made meteors apart from this guy who made a house. Literally just a house. If I hadn't won this, I would have called the police. The theme was tank game 23. This was gonna be cool. I knew everyone was gonna make green tanks, so to distinguish mine from the rest, I went for desert camo. I was done sooner than I expected, so I made it look like the tank was shooting at something. The explosion looked a little tacky if I'm honest, but it had the effect I was looking for. For the most part, I thought it was a fairly good build. This tank won, and I'm gonna be a sore loser and claim that mine was better. I mean, the wheels on this one are made of stone. Next game, I could drown my salty feelings in the pond I was tasked with building. I wasn't sure how to make it unique, so I just went with the basic principles. Make it big, add plenty of color, and fill up the empty space. Although mid-build, I realized the giant jungle trees I was growing would just get cut off at the height limit instead of growing as a smaller size. I frantically spam-clicked to fix them, and hoped my last-minute garden work wouldn't be too noticeable. The Minecraft heads as little turtles are adorable. This pond was great. This pond had an army guy with a lily pad lodged in his chest. Mine was pretty good, although that bottom rock is looking kinda sus from this angle. I think I have a pretty good chance of winning the... Oh my days. This was easily one of the best builds I have ever seen in Build Battle, and I'm honored to have lost to it. We're going with Astronaut game 25. Feeling equally inspired and humbled by the previous game, I was dreaming big. I wanted to build the moon with an astronaut on top of it, but once again I went with a diagonal build. Why? At the very least, he was a little better than the atrocity that was Vector. I gave him a big old flag to hold, which I would have made as the US flag if I had enough time. It was a passable build, but I knew it wouldn't win. This guy made a rocket out of stone, and then I watched him try and convince everyone to vote it legendary. Brady the Platypus? My astronautinator was unstoppable! The theme was Shell in the follow-up game. I decided to try my hand at building the Pokemon Cloyster. However, as I would soon discover, Cloyster is incredibly difficult to build on a small scale, and in only 5 minutes to boot. I managed to get the front done, but was already almost out of time. I used the black concrete strategy to cover up the back, and butterfly clicked my heart out. Whatever this is I've built, it's definitely not Cloyster. That one's decent. That's not finished. Boo, pixel art. I love this one. It's a little snail race. This one won, but I was only 4 points behind. I'll take it. Forgot to record most of game 27, but I was able to grab the replay. The theme this time was mouse. The custom skulls are bugged and don't show up properly though, making this look way more cursed than it actually was. The mouse turned out alright, and I also built a nice wedge of cheese for it to enjoy. Just like in the Comet game, someone made a house. It's not even a good house. This build won, and it was great. GG. The theme was Tornado in game 28. I spammed blocks as fast as I could in order to supersize my build. To be honest though, I don't think using concrete was the best plan. It looks too solid. I had some extra time, so I built a small villager house facing its impending doom, as well as a villager about to be obliterated. A lot of people changed the weather to stormy, which made mine feel a little underwhelming as a result. I did better than this guy at least, since he built a green monster. I got 5th. I guess I can live with that. Robot again in game 29. I set out to not just copy what I did last time, and then ended up doing exactly that. It wasn't a full replica though. Instead of a head, I built an LED smiley face in the body, and gave him a shiny screen made of green glass. It looked okay, but not as good as the original build. Yeah, I had no chance against this battle droid. Well played. I haven't won in a while, but I'm feeling good about this next game. I would like to take back what I just said. The theme was spring, and unlike Octopus, I didn't have any tricks up my sleeve. If I was gonna beat puppies, I needed to win from an idea standpoint rather than the quality of my build. Instead of building the season of spring, I built a spring from Sonic the Hedgehog. It didn't look that cool on its own though, so with a minute and a half left, I added Sonic himself. Although a minute and a half to build Sonic is like trying to do your homework as the teacher collects it. He looked like one of those bootleg toys you see in markets. Puppies won, and Knock Off the Hedgehog was placed in 8th. Next game, the theme was cake, and I really wanted to end my losing streak. I used so many different blocks for a gradient, and the build itself occupied an entire side of my area. While I may be fast tracking myself to carpal tunnel by placing so many blocks, it's important to remember that I'll be a build battle winner with carpal tunnel. I added rainbow sprinkles on the top and spent my last few seconds reshaping. It looked good. Maybe a little bit messy though. Oh, the spruce and birchwood cake. That's my favorite flavor. You know, even if I lose, I'll never give up. I'm starting to consider giving up. We're far enough in the video now that it's time for me to talk about backdrops. You may have noticed some builds having different designs around the edges instead of the default background. You can buy backdrops in the shop using coins, which you earn by placing in the top 3. The thing about backdrops is that you can switch them mid-game. So for example, if the theme was beach, I could switch to the beach backdrop and instantly my build looks better. It's not exactly game breaking, but it can definitely give you an advantage. Anyway, game 32, the theme was superhero. At the time of recording, Peak Fiction, aka Across the Spider-Verse, was about to drop, so I thought it would be awesome if I built Spider-Man in a giant web. But why did I build on a diagonal again? This ain't Miles Morales, this is Meters McDonald. This chibi Spider-Man won, but 3rd place ain't bad. Looks like I'm getting another try at School Bus in game 33. I took inspiration from the Magic School Bus and decided to build my own version. I did forget to add wings though. Why do I even try? Game 32, Top Hat was picked. I had an idea, and if I could pull it off, I could finally end my losing streak. I wanted to make a magician brandishing her top hat as if she'd just taken it off her head. Instead of spending time on the body, I built a shaggy grey cloak to cover up any flaws. I moved on to the head, and my favourite life hack is that you only need to build the face, and then you can add the hair. Even though her head is only a few blocks thick, the hair completely hides that. As usual, I had a minute left to build the most important part, the top hat. I worked as fast as I could, giving it some gold blocks for color and even some particles. Then with just seconds left, I built her other arm. Now this has winning potential. Most people just made regular top hats, apart from this guy who made Freddy Fazbear for some reason, and this guy who made a dog next to a hot dog. It doesn't really matter though, since I won! Feeling like an absolute champ, I was more than ready for the next game. Why does this keep happening to me? The theme was bunny, and I knew I needed something good if I had any chance of beating puppies. Seeing as this video was inspired by Luke the Notable's video, I remembered he got this theme, and he built 2 bunnies in love. I made sure to give them floppy ears, and as luck would have it, the heart particles went exactly in the middle. I also threw down some last minute bone meal for extra flair. The competition was tough. There were some great builds, and some not very great builds. Could my bunnies pull through despite being primitive in design? The answer was a resounding yes! 2 wins in a row, I was on top of the world. The theme this time was shell, and I was gonna build a giant shell. Really creative. I mixed in blues and purples with dark grey. I also placed a bunch of sand on it so that it felt like it had just washed ashore. I was done much quicker than I expected and placed a ton of treasure inside, which doesn't really make sense, but it does add some extra colour. I originally voted this build good, but after seeing that they wrote this on the side, I downgraded to an okay. This green shell won, and I came in 9th. I think everyone thought I built a cave. Skatepark was picked game 37. Unfortunately, I went way too big and spent way too much time on shaping, so all I managed to make in 4 minutes were 2 ramps. I desperately built a skateboard and had under 30 seconds to build someone riding it. Somehow, I actually pulled it off, but my build just wasn't that interesting. Although in all fairness, at least I didn't write Among Us on it. I didn't win, but I did come in 3rd, which I'll happily accept. We've got a repeat of Rubber Duck in game 38. There was a lot of improvement here compared to my previous try. The shape was much better and more precise, the head was superior, and the beak was far more prominent. Looking at them side by side, you can see a clear increase in quality. Ah yes, the sus duck. That doesn't look quite right. Do you know what a duck looks like? Pixel art. Ugh. This one's solid. I like it. Wait, legendary? Hey, this one's pretty good too. Another legendary? Then mine showed up and also got legendary, but one build was the most legendary of all. Next game, the theme was bug, so I settled on making the common housefly. I used lime glass to emphasize the eyes, gave it some spindly legs, and used grey and white glass for the wings. Stop with the Among Us, the meme's been dead for years. I really wasn't expecting to win that, but I'll happily take it. Somehow, I've got to build a teddy bear. I was off to a strong start, adding depth and using different blocks. Then I made the head and it all completely nosedived. It just looks so uncanny and off. Instead of fixing it, I moved on to making a heart nearby. I should have known though, no amount of love can fix what I've just made. There were some great builds in the running. I wasn't winning this. GG, well played. Then their teddy bear blew up. Rest in peace, fallen soldier. It's jellyfish in game 41, and I had a good feeling about this one. The top was fairly simple to build, and in order to build the floaty thingies, I did what I do best. Spam click! I used alternating colors so that it wouldn't all become a giant blob. I then added some sea lanterns since jellyfish glow, and as a final touch layered in some stained glass. Everyone else's jellyfish were decent. Mostly, and I took a well-deserved W. Next up, the theme was treasure. Like everyone else in the lobby, I was gonna build a treasure chest. I built it close to the wall, then realized I made it too close to the wall. There's no room for any treasure. You know what, it's gonna be fine, I'll just improvise. I made the lid pretty big and gave the whole thing some gold trim work. Up close, you can really see how thin it actually is, but from here it looks alright. Is this supposed to be modern art? This diagonal chest won, probably because it had more than a single line of treasure. Sword again game 43. I thought I'd try what I'd seen the pros do and build some impressive terrain first. I want to say that it's a lot harder than it looks. I spammed blocks until my fingers ached and still covered way less ground than I initially thought I could. I was left with just a minute to build the sword, so it ended up looking pretty boring. My guy, what you have built there is a shovel. I thought mine might do well, but then I got reported and accused of hacking. I came second to a diamond sword in an item frame. I started to type GG, but you can tell I was mad since I deleted it. Treasure once again, and I'd learned from my past mistakes. Look at all this space we have for gems and riches. Yeah, although the mistake I'll never learn from is managing my time correctly. There were some okay builds, and an owl. Yeah, just an owl. Because why not? Then I lost by 1 point. Game 45 saw dice as the chosen theme. Sometimes in build battle, you'll have an idea hit you and you'll just know that you can win. I knew everyone would make white dice, so I made a stack of colorful ones. That's looking pretty good. When everyone else makes white dice... When almost everyone makes white dice, colourful ones are bound to win. Now the theme's bell, and I wanted to make a farmer guy holding a bell. It was either going to turn out really good or really, really bad. I opted to only build the front half of the bell to save time. It turned out to be the right call since I just barely had enough time to finish. Everyone else made regular bells and mine ended up winning. A true gamer, only typing GG when he wins. Next game, the theme was drink. One time I was playing build battle with a mate and we lost on this theme to a build of someone spilling their drink. So I borrowed the idea. The build was alright, but I didn't love it. There weren't really any builds that stood out and this family-friendly juice won. Sticking with the theme of inanimate objects, this time it was umbrella. I wanted to build that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where Yondu says he's Mary Poppins, except edited slightly to give him an umbrella. For those of you who haven't watched the movie, that probably sounded like a bunch of gibberish. Basically, I built a blue space bandit guy floating with an umbrella. Some of the umbrellas were alright, and some were... what do I even say here? What is this? This mouse taking shelter from the snow one. And we all said GG. Well, most of us did. The theme was Lighthouse game 49. This time, I'm gonna make the terrain strat work for sure. Yet again, my poor planning threw a wrench in the works as I built one block too close to the border. Turns out I also built the lighthouse one block too tall, so I had to make the roof completely flat. As a final touch, I set the weather to stormy. Oh, that thunder was perfect, and the votes reflected that. This is, it's unique. You could say that. In the most basic sense of the word, this is technically a lighthouse. My terrain might not be quite on par with Puppies, but I'm definitely making progress. Following up from that game was Dinosaur. It's been 47 games since I last built one of these. Let's see if I've improved at all. I did use different shades of blue, so that's a good start. Unfortunately, I misplaced the head somewhat as the neck connects in completely the wrong spot. I gave him some glowing yellow eyes and then started to work on the back. Must spam click. With seconds to go, I was able to add some derpy dino arms. I need a toothbrush for my eyes after seeing this. Freddy Fazbear, you're not a dinosaur. This Diplodocus eating a tree won, as it rightfully should. But I got second. Not bad. Game 51, the theme was cowboy, partner. I am so sorry you had to hear that terrible accent. My idea was to make two cowboys having a shootout. I managed to make one cowboy, and he was an abomination. Here's Crafting Table Pac-Man. You guys know Crafting Table Pac-Man the cowboy, right? Woody from Toy Story 1, and that's an amazing creation. Well played. I've got to build a snail game 52. Once the body and head were done, I moved on to the shell. To make sure it didn't all just mush together, I used brown concrete powder to break it up. I would have used other brown blocks like spruce wood and brown wool, but I was pressed for time like usual. For the finishing touches, I added a slimy trail at the back as well as some hearts. A good build if I do say so myself. And then I lost to a smaller and less detailed snail. I love this game. The next game, I made friends in the lobby with Bluefellow64. I never saw him again, but I hope he's doing well in life. I voted for Princess since I wanted to build Princess Peach, but everyone else chose Pineapple. Whenever Pineapple gets picked, almost everyone in the lobby builds SpongeBob's house. So in order to win, I just needed to build the best SpongeBob house of all. The shape was smooth and round. The stalk was several shades of green, and the windows were perfectly scaled. Let's see what everyone else has made. SpongeBob house, SpongeBob house, SpongeBob house and Squidward house, SpongeBob house, SpongeBob house, winning SpongeBob house. The theme was boat game 54, and like most Minecraft players, I hate building boats. In order to combat this, I built a wave, which I could then haphazardly place blocks on and pass off as a boat. I built a mast and did my best to make a passable sail. It might look a little messy, but it'll do the job. I set the weather to stormy and used the last of my time to add a little bit of extra decoration. Oh, it's Bluefellow, what's up? The effort here is just top notch. Great work. People started riding the boats in this build, and then they crashed them. Even though there were some insane builds on display, this small red dragon boat won. A perfect example of how just a creative idea can win you the game. I forgot to record the start of the following game, so I grabbed the replay. The theme was wizard, and I was really proud of mine. It was a diagonal build that looked great. I didn't win, but I was super happy with my build regardless. I also watched the winner's POV so that I could learn learn his trade secrets. Now the theme's hammer, and I had a great idea. Usually in this theme, a lot of people make Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, so I was gonna make comic Thor wielding Mjolnir. Ambitious, but it could work out incredibly well. Thor has long hair as well as extra accessories like his helmet and cape, so I was left with under a minute to build the arms and the hammer. 20 seconds left and I've got to build a hammer. This isn't looking good. With 6 seconds to go, I finished the hammer and was able to spam some light blue glass to represent lightning. My hard work paid off as my build was voted legendary and I won the game. Easily one of my best builds so far. Game 57, the theme was moon, and it was off to a rocky start. Get it? Because I'm building with stone? I'm sorry, but really, it wasn't going well. The moon is a sphere, yet what I'm making looks more like an ovoid. That's a 3D oval, by the way, I just googled it. I chose to cut my losses and instead make my ovoid moon into a blown up moon being destroyed by a meteor strike. If you're struggling with your build, just blow it up and set it on fire. I mean, it worked for me. Robot was voted for in game 58, making this my 3rd attempt. I didn't want to just build something similar to the earlier games, so instead I thought I'd try and build Optimus Prime. If it's done well, pop culture can give you a massive edge over the competition. Optimus is an extremely detailed robot made up of lots of different mechanical parts, so I had trouble making a good looking Minecraft version. Sick robot, man. Just amazing. That looks like something out of the back rooms. This BMO would have won if it was finished. It was way more colourful than any of the other builds. However, it was Eve from Wall-E that took the win. Got another try at breakfast in game 59. Am I gonna screw it up again? Of course I am. I was gonna build a guy sat at the table eating his breakfast, but spent far too long on everything but the breakfast. With a minute left, I was forced to reuse my shoddy bacon design. The guy also didn't even have hands. This was a disaster. What kind of breakfast is this guy having? Hold on, is that Breck? Yum. Breck was defeated by fried eggs and orange juice. Game 60, we had to build a clown. As I'm commentating over this footage, I realize I could have built someone like Pennywise, but here I settled for a regular clown. I don't build a lot of clowns, so mine definitely could have used some improvements, like a red nose and a painted face. I gave her blue hair so she'd stand out, but she looked more like that one crazy lady you find in a gas station than an actual clown. These build battle players are disturbed. Ugh, Pixel art, get away from me. I can't tell if this is a clown or a snowman in pajamas. This one was the only real clown and was the winner by a long shot. Game 61, I was going to be playing teams mode with my mate Allison. Build battle can be played in either solos or duos, with the difference being that you get 7 minutes in duos as opposed to 5 in solos. The theme was hammer again, and we decided to build Mjolnir embedded in stone. Unoriginal for sure, but it was the best we could think of. Allison made the rock, while I worked on the mythical hammer. My mistake here was building it out of the same shade of grey as the rock itself. They blended together way too much. It was still a pretty cool build overall though. This version of Mjolnir won. The cracks in the ground are pretty awesome, I have to say. In our next game, the theme was boot. I gotta warn you ahead of time that we didn't do all too well on this. We wanted to make a boot that had plants growing out of it, so I made the boot while Allison handled the plants. Problem is, I'm not very good at building boots. This thing had a massive arch. The flowers turned out good, and I added these mini bees on them, which I feel was a nice touch. Then I circled the boot in a couple different types of flowers to add extra color. Aha, the medieval chainmail 5s. The freshest of drip, my dear fellow. The theme was boot, not boat. Hold on, we might have a chance to win this. You know what? I'm not even mad. This build was absolutely stunning. Let's see if we can create something as good as that masterpiece in game 63. The theme was meteorite, so we decided to build the extinction of the dinosaurs. My meteors were beautiful. Allison's dinosaurs were not. She assured me her next one, the next one will be much better. It was somehow worse. I did my best to add detail to the landscape in the hopes that it would increase our ratings. The other builds weren't much better and we somehow scraped 3rd place. Next game we were gunning for that win. Bike riding was picked, and while I worked on the bike, Allison built the landscape. The bike was looking good, but it needed a rider. Oh look, there's less than a minute left and I'm spamming like a cookie clicker player. There's a surprise. I had to chuck the arms on last second, which meant they looked a little like spaghetti. The other bikes were alright, but they lacked riders, which meant naturally ours won. Back to solos now, making a boxing ring. This was one of those times where I just didn't have any ideas. And not having any ideas means your build is obviously gonna look as average as it gets. Well, I mean, at least I did better than this guy. There were 10 people in this lobby, and I came 5th. Average. Like my build. Game 66, the theme was Crayon. In the hands of a 3rd grader, it's either an incredible piece of art equipment or a delicious snack. You already know I was about to build that giant Crayola box that one kid flexed on the entire class back in the day. These things had, what, 50 colors if I remember correctly? I made the lid and even used some yellow wool for some nice texture. For once I was finished on time and had nothing that needed fixed. There were some good crayons, some questionable crayons, and as for my crayons, they were legendary. It was only after I won that I realized I forgot to build the sides. That explains why I wasn't rushing. Oh my god guys, no way right now. There's 2 dreams in my build battle lobby. Oh my god guys, no way. Game 67, the theme was bee. I wanted to build a bee pollinating a flower, but was only able to get the bee done and had to settle with that. Additionally, I forgot the legs, so it looked more like a floating yellow canister. Why would you make the eyes like that? If you ever think you're bad at building, someone made stacks of 3 blocks with the word bee on them. Then a bee pollinating a flower won. Game 68, I voted for cartoon, which sounded like an awesome theme. Everyone else chose eye. Huh? I can cry very real tears about this later. Right now, I've got to focus on my build. Can you guess what it is? Probably not, because right now it doesn't make any sense. I'm making the Eye of Cthulhu from Terraria. I mean, yes, this is technically pixel art, but Terraria is a 2D game, so I feel like I get a pass. I spawned a Roman soldier NPC to be the player, looking up at his impending doom. I was a big fan of this build. It's probably not going to win, but it was super fun to make. This very realistic face was the victor, but hey, 3rd place with a Terraria build? That's a win in my book. Volcano in the funny number game. Now this is a theme I'm confident on. For some reason, when I play duos, it seems to get picked a lot. I use my go-to palette of grey concrete, stone, and clay, as well as some brown concrete at the top. I then brought in the same technique as the fire magic from my wizard build in order to replicate magma spewing out of the top. This right here, this is quality. My massive volcano towered over the competition and won the game with ease. Then it exploded, which was very fitting. Moving on from that, Cap was the theme in the next game. I knew exactly what I wanted to make from the get-go. If you've watched my 1000 Days in Hardcore Minecraft movie, you'll know who Moon is. I tamed her on day 1, and what better way to honor her than to recreate her in build battle. I used plenty of different white blocks to emphasize different areas, including white concrete, white wool, and snow. Everything went right for this build. The shaping, the details, I was so proud of it. Winning build battle is one thing, but winning with your loyal Minecraft pet? I couldn't ask for anything better. I didn't want to ruin the moment, but someone built this, and if I have to see it, so do you. Gotta build a golem, game 71. I could have made an iron golem, but I decided to try my hand at an ice golem instead. I don't know why I gave him a rib cage with an icy heart at the center, but I think the idea is cool at least. I gave him a spear to hold and used sea lanterns for the eyes. I did my best to thicken up the back, but he looked a little skinny from some angles. Like I expected, most other people made iron golems. I say most because some guy made whatever this is supposed to be. An absurdly buff iron golem won. And look at those calves. Bro doesn't do leg day, he does leg week. I voted for superhero in game 72. My competitors voted for dice, the most lukewarm theme possible. Initially I wanted to make someone cup stacking dice, but when it came to making the cup part, I realized it was too complicated. Thankfully, I was able to convert my build into someone rolling dice. Not as cool, but at least I had a finished product. How do we break it to this guy that dice have more numbers on them than 1? A demon dice vomiting lava one. Great. Next up was fire. I started building some terrain, but I just couldn't seem to spam click as fast as usual. I got an okay amount done with 2 minutes to spare and was gonna be making a good old fashioned forest fire. I used lots of different colors of glass to make the fire, and while my creation was alright, it should have been way bigger. I hate losing. Like winning hates me. Cloud was selected for game 74 and I've got a good idea. I'm gonna make a really mad thundercloud shooting lightning everywhere. His initial frown didn't stand out enough, so I changed it to a hot pink. Then I gave him green eyes and some angry looking eyebrows. I used a combination of yellow concrete and yellow glass to make the lightning. The competition was decent, but it wasn't enough to defeat my thundercloud. Toothpaste again the next game, and this theme is so random. I made a toothbrush with some pink toothpaste on it. Wow, what an interesting build, I definitely hear you all say. A pot of toothbrushes and toothpaste won. This theme blows. Things didn't get much better in game 76. It was moon once again, and while mine was decent, it blended right into the backdrop I was using. I lost, which I deserved. Game 77, the theme was angel. Mine sucked, and that's all you need to know. The last 3 games, I've been mediocre. Let's get back on track. This time, the theme was catapult, and I used this really cool grindstone trick for the wheels. I used brown terracotta for the throwing arm, and quickly assembled the bucket holding a pile of rocks. A light touch of bone meal and it was done. The opposing catapults ranged from decent to weird to lazy, and I won the game. Cake time. My last cake had been pretty untidy, so to combat that, I built in the exact same way. On top of that, while I was changing the settings of my area, my cake suddenly gained a layer of gross blue shulker filling. I tried to roll with it by adding chocolate icing, but deep down, I knew it was a lost cause. I came 10th place. Not my proudest moment, but sometimes losing is part of the journey. There's a very profound quote that I came across. Fail is first attempt in learning. Amazing quote by professorquote.cc. Cake was picked once again, as if Build Battle was handing me a chance to redeem myself. I'd been trying to build these big, chunky cakes using blocks like wood and sand. Here I went simple, elegant, using much cleaner blocks like concrete and terracotta. I used carpet to represent crumbs and even added a bright red cherry on top for extra color. After adding the knife used to cut this delicious slice and a tiny bit of glass for a strawberry glaze, my build was complete. Even though I didn't win, this was such a big step up from my other attempts. Deep emotional learning moment over, now it's game 81. It was Cloud, another repeat theme, and I was gonna go a little unorthodox. I wanted to build the genie Pokemon Landorus. You can see how he fits in with the Cloud theme, although I did have to take some creative liberties since I only had 5 minutes to make him. I don't think anyone's gonna get that it's Landorus, but the build can stand on its own without that. This person just wrote, "Can I go home now?" No, this is alright. Why are there leaves on it though? These stormy clouds won, but I took second. Another repeat theme, game 82, this time it was bee. After failing to give my bee a flower to pollinate on my first try, I had to give her justice on the second. Seeing as I built the bee once before, I was able to create it much faster in this game. I also improved on my prior design, adding legs and smoothing out the wings. Some love hearts as well as the usual round of bone meal, and she was ready to go. She annihilated the competition, taking the grand prize, which was my primitive brain firing off dopamine at the sight of a win. Because I've been playing so many games of Build Battle, I racked up a pretty impressive pile of coins. I used them to buy 25 super votes, which allow you to completely overrule the voting process. Cause who needs democracy when you have money? I didn't use my supreme powers yet though, since the theme I wanted got picked anyway. I was gonna build one of those massive grandfather clocks your distant cousins have in their house for some reason. Ironically, in the clock theme, time was an issue. I got the majority of it done, but it definitely looks like it needs to be shipped off to a repair shop. It's a clock, made out of clocks. Why? Oh, a sand timer, that's cute. A stopwatch is a nice idea, it's just kind of small. We all lost to this gold encrusted Rolex. Before game 84 even began, I noticed this guy in the lobby with an insanely colourful skin. Whatever this theme was, it was winning by a landslide. Too bad I don't care. The instant I saw the theme ninja, I knew I could win. That's because I'm not building a ninja, I'm building Tyler Blevins himself. I gave him his classic yellow headband, as well as his bright blue hair. I didn't have enough time to build his gaming setup where he streams on the very alive platform Mixer, so I gave him a little controller instead. I just hope everyone gets what I've made. They did! Thank you, Ninja Blevins. I'll never forget what you've done for me. The theme's baby now, and as you can see by my block choices, I originally planned to make a human baby. But that's way too boring, so I'm building Maggie Simpson instead. I used a red player head for her pacifier, and since I built her crawling, her body was super easy to make. That baby has a a sick mohawk. This baby is an absolute unit. Look at the size of this lad. This baby isn't a baby. It's an oak sign with the word baby written on it. Maggie Simpson won the... Hey, what the... That guy has a freaking wither. What? Once again ruined the public vote so that I could get a theme I liked. This time it was slime. I wanted to make a huge slime monster, so I built a wireframe first to get a rough idea. I built a giant tongue, crooked teeth, some big eyes, and oh wait, I have 2 minutes to fill the entire thing in. Carpal tunnel's worth it if I can win build battle! A family of slimes won, and my fingers have disowned me. This game my build sucked, so let's get it over with. The theme was dragon, and it started off reasonably well. The body was where things took a rapid turn for the worse. I didn't use any color theory and instead just spammed different colors of blue all over. Then when it came to the wings, I filled them in with glass? Why glass? Seeing my mistake, I tried placing solid blocks behind to fix the issue, but it just amplified the messiness of the build. I added in a leg and an arm, and the nail in the coffin was when I used the wrong block for the dragon's ice breath. Well, I did bad, but at least I didn't make this. An Ender Dragon won, and somehow I found myself in third. I did not deserve that high of a ranking. That game was a travesty. I feel like I'm legally required to build something good now. The theme was Sandcastle, and I had a plan. Usually big windows are bad since people can see the empty build inside, but by using black concrete, they look super sleek and stylized. I combined tons of small builds together to create a massive castle, kinda like combining Lego sets. Added in some bright green seaweed as well as a small flag. Did the judges like it? No. They loved it! Game 89, the theme was button, and I was already pretty unsure of what to make. I ended up going with a synthesizer. While it's a perfectly standard build, it's not got the most interesting color scheme, and it's also not that big. Spamming a bunch of Minecraft buttons won't get you the win, but it will entertain me. This one, it was a funny build, it deserved it. Sushi again game 90, so I thought I'd be clever and build half-made sushi. I made a bamboo rolling mat, some seaweed, a pile of rice, and a couple pieces of fish. I was already done with 2.5 minutes to go. I'm in trouble, aren't I? I added a bowl of rice on the side, a chef's knife, and some extra seaweed. All the while with a sinking feeling that I wasn't getting good votes. I don't know what the blue part is in this guy's sushi, and I don't think I want to know. A very well-made sushi chef was victorious, and I found myself far closer to the bottom of the scoreboard than the top. My ego was more bruised than a 2-week-old banana, so I teamed up with my mate Shazza for some moral support. She's also the head admin of my Discord server, which you should definitely join. Please join. Link in the description. Game 91, the theme was Sandcastle, and in a flash of creativity, we built the same thing I made last time. The weight of my sins grows, but so do my number of build battle wins. I super voted for theme park the following game. Then it hit me that we now somehow had to build a theme park in 7 minutes. We rapidly devised a plan. I would make a Ferris wheel while she built a roller coaster. The thing is with duos is that splitting one build into 2 jobs works great, but both of you working on your own separate things doesn't. If we'd made a Ferris wheel or a roller coaster, our creation would have turned out much better. Unsurprisingly, we lost. Mortimer Gaming... What kind of name is Mortimer Gaming? He super voted for Princess Game 93. Thankfully, we stuck to one combined build this time. And if you didn't guess by the pink, we're making Princess Peach. As Shazza constructed the dress, I made the arms and head, as well as the tiara. We were proper happy with how it looked. Judging by the competition, it seemed like we had a good chance at winning this one. No, we didn't. Robot was chosen for the 4th time this video. Shazza had the awesome idea to build Wally. Unfortunately, as the time drained away, we were suddenly under a serious time crunch. I managed to get the eyes done, but the back of them still looked terrible. Knowing we had just seconds to spare, Shazza came in to finish them while I just about managed to add a pair of arms. Just like at the box office, Wally was a smash hit. Our teamwork had paid off. Back to solos now, the theme's rainbow. I made Kirby flying through the air on a warp star with a rainbow trail behind him. Even though I didn't win, I had fun making Kirby. derby. We've got a callback to game 2 with the Racecar theme. I was gonna build a giant orange Lamborghini. I used the wall strat so that I only had to build half, but that actually made it look worse. This Racecar won, and all I could muster was 7th place. Continuing with repeats of early themes, game 97 it was 10th, and we all remember how it went last time. Determined not to let history repeat itself, I built an upgraded version of my original build. You know what's better than 1 tent? 2 tents! And a campfire, of course. Blue tent, poo tent, Jess tent, quest tent, best tent. Super voted for book the next game since I had a cool idea. A standard book wouldn't get me the win, but a pop-up one might. The scale was a little small though, and I definitely could have used an extra minute to add some micro details. Alas, I was not victorious. While we all come to terms with the fact that I just used the word alas in the 21st century, I'm going to be building a train. When I was a kid, I used to love Thomas the Tank Engine, and my dad loves to remind me of this one time when I was like 3, where Thomas apparently crashed, and then I cried for 20 minutes straight. Anyway, the point is that I have to win for my train-obsessed younger self. Obviously, it was blue for Thomas, and I made this really cool chimney smoke design on the front using different shades of glass. Yeah, I'm seeing a few design flaws with this train. This one too. This one's extremely low effort, but I can't deny that it's fun. What even happened here? Justice for Thomas the Tank Engine. You'll love to see it. And here we are. Game 100. I've improved a ton since game 1. I've made some bad builds, some decent builds, and even some great builds. Above all of that though, I had so much fun making this video. That's why my build in this game is me, holding out a heart to you, the viewers. Also, my Nan watches my videos, so hi Nan. And for the perfect ending, the build won. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and join the Discord, and I'll catch you next time.